The Dravari were not known for kindness. Among the stars, their merchant clans bullied weaker species, enforcing trade with threats and violence. At the crowded docking station of Orcs Prime, no one dared oppose them. No one until the day they crossed paths with a human couple. Lyra, a young botanist from Earth, had come to Orcs Prime to sell samples of Terran flora to traders. She was not a soldier, not a fighter, just a woman eager to share her work. But to the Dravari enforcer who cornered her at a market stall, she was prey. "You overcharge," the alien hissed, towering above her with armored plates and venomous eyes. "You will pay the clan's tax, or pay in blood." When she refused, the Dravari struck. The backhand sent her sprawling across the stall, blood on her lip, shock in her eyes. The market fell silent. No one moved. Everyone had seen what happened to those who interfered with the Dravari. Everyone except one man. From the crowd stepped Mark Hale. Terran, husband, veteran. His eyes narrowed as he saw his wife crumpled on the ground. He didn't shout. He didn't posture. He simply walked forward, silent as a storm rolling over the horizon. The Dravari sneered. "Another weakling? Stand aside, human." She was warned. But Mark didn't stop. His voice, when it came, was quiet, measured. "You put your hand on my wife." Laughter rippled from the Dravari guards. To them, humans were curious, fragile creatures, resilient, yes, but no match for their bulk. Mark moved. No one saw the first punch land, only the result. A Dravari warrior staggered back, jaw shattered. Another lunged, claws raised. Mark caught the arm, twisted, and bones snapped like dry wood. The third tried to bring his plasma rifle up, but Mark had already torn it away and slammed the butt into his skull. It wasn't a fight. It was a lesson. The market filled with the sound of cracking armor, breaking bone, and the dull thud of human fury unleashed. Mark fought with brutal precision. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Every strike was controlled, deliberate, efficient. Within moments, half a dozen Dravari lay groaning on the ground. The enforcer who had struck Lyra tried to flee, but Mark's hand clamped on his shoulder like iron. He spun the alien around and forced him to his knees, leaning close so only he could hear. "You don't touch family," Mark whispered. "Not mine. Not ever." The Dravari whimpered. Venomous pride drained into fear. Mark released him with a shove that sent him sprawling. He didn't kill them. He didn't need to. The message was louder than death. There are lines you do not cross with humans. Mark returned to his wife, helping her gently to her feet. His hands, so violent a moment ago, were suddenly tender. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. Lyra, still dazed, nodded. She looked around at the silent crowd. Aliens of a dozen species staring wide-eyed at the man who had just dismantled the Dravari enforcers with nothing but fists and fury. For the first time, they saw humanity not as fragile diplomats or curious explorers, but as something far more dangerous. Word spread quickly. Whispers of the human who had humiliated the Dravari at Orcs Prime traveled from system to system. Stories grew. Some claimed he fought with ancient Terran martial arts. Others swore he was a super soldier. The truth was simpler and more frightening. He was just a man whose wife had been struck. And if that was what a single human would do for love, the galaxy wondered with a shiver, what would humanity do if one of their worlds was attacked? If their people, their family, were threatened? For the first time, the Dravari clans hesitated before bullying Terrans. For the first time, the galaxy realized that humanity's strength was not just in their weapons or their numbers, but in the terrifying, unyielding bond they called love. On Orcs Prime, the silence of the market slowly gave way to a murmur. Aliens stepped forward, not to scorn, but to help Lyra gather her spilled goods. Respect, tinged with fear, hung in the air. And as Mark walked with his wife, hand in hand, the lesson burned into every watching soul. You do not strike a human's family. Not if you value your life.